Yeah, it
So
was.
just see this sausage go. Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Interval Conversations. I'm joined, I think it's this side, computer messed up, it's one of these sides. It's my friend Rick Whyte. I've done quite a few shows with him over the past, 10 years? Something like that?
Is that what it is?
Yeah, 10 years of putting up with each other.
Well, I mean, it's more me putting up with you, isn't it, really? That's how it goes, really.
Theatre at Am Dram. How did you get involved?
How did I get involved? A long time ago now. And I got involved through a friend of mine who had been badgering me for years and years and years. He'd been involved in the youth society of Buttershaw St Paul's Am Drams, and he'd been badgering me for years and years and years to get involved with it. And then one day I just did. It must have been like 5 or 6 years after he'd first started getting involved in the kids' pantos there. And then one day I just came along and joined the adult society. And then the first show we did was Fiddler on the Roof.
Oh.
At St George's Hall in Bradford.
I love St George's Hall. Such a good venue.
It is an incredible place, and particularly with the history that's involved. You think about the people that have been there and performed there all the way back to Dickens, way back when.
And it had us in January.
And you and me.
Oh.
In January, obviously at the top of the I mean, more so you playing the lead as you were, you fancied out.
Oh, no.
All right.
But, so, obviously you've had quite a few lead roles in your time, haven't you? Has there...
You say obviously.
So, because I know you've had like supporting roles, cameo roles in quite a few shows. Has there been a highlight, like a personal highlight for you?
Yeah, I've been lucky to have done loads of roles that I've really enjoyed, for lots of different reasons. Some because I thought I've done them fairly well. Some because they've been fun to get your head involved, get your head into and sort of explore characters and whatnot. And some just because they've been a really good show weeks. I mean, a good example of that was Rent, which we did with the Halifax Amateurs back in 2009. Now gold. And we just had a really good time. We just had a really good time from the start rehearsals all the way through to show week. We just had the most incredible time, and made a lot of really good friends. And it's a crowd that I'm still still hang around with to this day. So yeah, I really enjoyed the character. I played Mark Cohen in that. It's one of my favourite roles. Others, if you think of some of the stuff when we did Titanic, I played Mr. Murdoch, and so playing a real live character, it's a really interesting thing because you get to sort of do a bit of research about the character and sort of interpret him. And in the film, that guy was made out to be a bit of a villain, which he absolutely was not. He was really quite a heroic sort in his own way. So yeah, things like that. And then of course, Oliver played Fagin and Oliver.
Yeah.
When was that? Was that 2012? You were in that. Were you in that?
Yeah, 2012. Yeah, I think I was Dodger. I think. All those years ago.
Yeah, I've been all those years ago. So yeah, I mean, I've been dead lucky that I've involved with some really, really good shows with some really great people. Man, I could go on. How much do you want? We did Doubt a few years ago. It was a really intense play.
Oh, that was really Tickletum's production, wasn't it?
That was Tickletum, yes.
Ben Eagle, for people who don't know.
The mighty Ben Eagle, yeah. Yeah, done some really, really good stuff. Just worked with some really, really great people.
Oh, that's good. So, with all these shows as well, have there been any like show week horrors, major mishaps, like backstage?
Do you know what? Oh God, I don't want to say this because it's temptation of fate. But again, touch wood, I've been relatively lucky that there haven't been any disasters. I remember giving Steve Redfern a good shake one year. I was playing Lank in Crazy for You, and he was playing Bobby, who had to dress up as Zanger, and gave him a good old shake, and his wig fell off as a shake, which all very embarrassing. But the only thing about that is somebody pointed out afterwards that you should have said, well, keep your hair on. you know, in character. And it's one of those things that you think afterwards, wow, why didn't I think of that? But in terms of shows now, I've been dead lucky that there haven't been too many disasters. Dropped lines here and there. Obviously, set issues happen, costume issues happen. There was a time that another Richard, whose surname shall remain unspoken, and I were having a lovely chat during a production where we were the responsible adults in a junior production of Fame, and we were just having a lovely chat as the curtains were opening up on stage, the light on, and everybody, 200, 300 people sat looking at an empty stage. Well, we were just having a good old chat about pizza, I think it was. That was a hair-raising. Yeah, particularly when you're supposed to be the one that's setting the example to the kids. But yeah, no, I'm just having a look through my shows to see if any disasters have arisen. But oh god, I don't want to say it because something will. But yeah, other than stuff happening here, I've seen some fun stuff. I've seen more fun things. Show stops happening on stage. Seen Ben Smith leap onto stage without shoes on. From
that was a stressful opening night.
Was that Sweeney Todd?
Sweeney Todd, yeah, and like because they had the organ with the Vic that rose up for the pre-show sort of prologue, and they went back down, but they hadn't really rehearsed it. So one of the beams went in slightly wrong. So when they lowered the floor, it wasn't sitting level. So Ben just had to stop the entire show, jump up out of the pit while wearing odd socks and no shoes. And he just sort of ripped up the track with his hand and just went, stomped down there and went, carry on.
Credit to Ben though in that, because it takes some balls to jump up from the orchestra pit and stop an amateur show midway through, because there are a lot of people that a lot of sort of amateur types that might have just sort of not had the confidence to go on and stop it there and then, but of course safety first. You can't be messing around with people.
Because what I loved as well as the odd socks, he only ironed half of his shirt. So the top half.
What more do you need? You only need the top half your shirt ironed if you didn't fit. What more do you need? Yeah. So yeah, seeing more things go wrong, hopefully, than I've been involved with. But
so I saw you saw Back to the Future in Manchester.
Yes.
Was there a show stop when you saw it?
No.
Because at both times I went, there was a show stop. It was like, come on. It was the sequence where Marty actually goes back, where they do the clock tower sequence. And first time the car didn't match up with all the projections and the revolve, so they had to go back, sort that out. Then next time it's when, same sequence, Doc was on the clock tower, where he just sort of sweeps across, and the projection got stuck, so they had to go back again. It was like, oh, come on.
Well, thinking it with shows getting more and more technical these days. There's more and more stuff that can go wrong with them. I've not seen that many professional shows stop. Les Mis, when Les Mis came to Bradford, that had a show stop halfway through. That was the original touring production. Oh, God, it's been 20 years.
With the big revolve and like falling barricade.
Yeah. I think I want to say that when we saw Les Mis in the West End, it's my favourite show, Les Mis by some chalk. We've got a friend who was understudy in Valjean, and I think his show was stopped when he came on as understudy, just as he was about to start one of his big numbers, which must have just absolutely freaked him out. But he went on and smashed it, obviously. But yeah, what can you do? Things happen, don't it? Go over the theatre, darling. Live theatre.
Theatre. But so yeah, have you got a dream role that you want to tackle?
The danger is with some of these dream roles that I'm getting too old for them now. So I've always wanted to play Seymour from Little Shop of Horrors. It's my dream role, because that character is without question the most. It goes through the full sweep of emotions. He goes from sort of this nerdy loser all the way through to romantic hero to action hero to Faustian sacrifice at the end, and it's just such an emotional range for what everybody thinks is just a really lightweight piece of theatre. And I've just always wanted to play him, but he's supposed to be a bit younger than me, so maybe that'll never happen. And maybe Mickey in Mickey Brothers musical.
Because you've actually played Mickey before, haven't you? The play version with who was playing Eddie? Ben Bergen.
It's Ben Bergen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's brilliant. In fact, that was an ace cast. That was an ace cast, generally speaking, up the Hebden Bridge Little Theatre, and it's an amazing play. But I think there's something about when you've got an incredible piece of source material anyway, when you add the right music to it, it just gives it another, just a completely another dimension. And the music of Blood Brothers is just brilliant.
I think I've seen the show about 12 times when it tours, and end up leaving the theatre crying every time.
Yeah. If you don't, then it's missing its mark somehow, isn't it? But so that'd be a dream role. And then things like expectation versus reality. If ever the amateurs got their hands on something like Les Mis, the dream role in that would be, of course, Valjean or Javert. But realistically speaking, if we did it, I'd end up as one of the Thénardiers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You've got to play to your strengths. I'm more a Thénardier.
You'd be a perfect Madame Thénardier.
Oh, unnecessary. No, my wife would very much enjoy playing opposite me in that number, and just abusing me, generally speaking.
Yeah, it's good.
So,
it's good shot of Les Mis.
What about you? No, it is. It's clearly the best. But here you go. Interviewee becomes interviewer. What's your dream role?
Well, Kips was actually on my bucket list quite a few years, as was Dodger. So I've managed to tick those two off.
You can just retire now. Retire.
Yeah. Probably Joe Casey. That's always been on the cards.
Yeah, that's right. Our house, isn't it?
Our house, yeah. I've still
not everyone's a lovely like you, Nathan. There might be people watching who don't know, that have recall of shows like you do.
Yeah. Try and think one. Just try and think of a show that's in my vocal range.
That's the thing, isn't it? Dream role versus
reality.
What you get away with.
Yeah. I think Little Shop is on the cards. I know one. JP Pont-Finch in How to Succeed in Business.
Oh yeah, is that the one that Daniel Radcliffe?
Yes, I think it was the 2011 Broadway revival, if I remember off the top of my head. But,
as if you don't know. Oh, bloody hell.
The amount of shows I've got up here.
And he was a surprise, wasn't he, Daniel Radcliffe, when he did that? Because he was on the Tony Awards doing Brotherhood of Man.
Yeah.
And it turns out he can sing and dance.
Yeah. But my immediate thought was training for the ballet, Potter.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I like that. I like how you cross genres there. Yeah, well done.
But so we've touched on like dream roles and stuff. At the moment, what's your favourite show?
Oh, right. So to watch Les Mis, just because it's amazing. It's just an incredible show. It's just, I guess it's the sort of stock answer for Am Dram or the easy choice, but it is just brilliant. It's just an incredible show. To have been in, I'm just looking back at the shows that I've done here. It's just really difficult to say. I mean, Rent was a really incredible experience for many reasons. Sunset Boulevard, that was good for different reasons.
So you were cast fairly late in Sunset, weren't you?
I was. I'm glad you mentioned that, Nathan. Oh, well done you. 3 weeks before the show, they rang me up and said, our leading man's dropped out, would you be in it? And I genuinely had never ever listened to the cast album. Obviously, you know the song Sunset Boulevard and With One Look, but I hadn't ever listened to the album at all. And so I blithely said, yeah, all right, yeah, go on, yeah, put me down. So this was 3 weeks out from show week, so I had to listen and learn the entire musical part for Joe in those 3 weeks, and it's a frigging massive part. It's enormous. He's virtually on stage all the time, and God, some of it was really hard. Oh, it was so hard. Timing the music. You always think of Lloyd Webber as being, when you listen to it, you think of Joseph and you think, oh, it's that easy to do, but some of his more sort of adult-driven work, I suppose, is so much more difficult musically. Just bits that we just didn't get right. It just sounded frigging awful for the audience, but the stuff that we got right, I think, was okay. But brilliant, love that show. It's brilliant for that reason, and it's a beautiful score. It's probably my favourite Andrew Lloyd Webber show, if not one of my favourite shows. Certainly my top 5, I would say.
Yeah.
There you go. Probably more information than you needed. I'm sorry.
It's good. It fills out the runtime.
fills it out. Fills it
Right.
out. If only I had some panto gags.
Just a few knob gags. That's what Billy did.
Just a few knob gags, yeah.
Few
Did
knob
he? Did he
gags.
do knob gags? Oh, he's so funny.
There was a
So
couple of subtle ones.
Yeah. Anyway, ask me some more questions. What's going on?
Yes, just touching back on preparing for a role, really. So you were saying you had 3 weeks. What process do you do to like learn a part, learn a show? Like, what's your actor's method?
Actor's method, gold. It's a funny thing this, because it's something that I talk about a lot with some of our friends, our mutual friends who've gone off to drama school and talk a lot about the process and finding the truth of a character. And that's just a concept that I have not difficulty with. But this idea of creating a backstory for a character is something that is inherently built into the actor's process, and I find it a very difficult thing to conceptualize, just because of the nature of a character. You're writing, you're playing something that somebody else has written out of their imagination. So trying to fill a backstory becomes problematic for me for a lot of reasons. For me, it's a case of just, in the first instance, becoming very, very familiar with the lyrics, the music, and the libretto. That's the starting point, to just get as familiar as you can with it, ideally before you go into rehearsal. I think a lot of the problem that we have in the amateur world is that a lot of people just really struggle to learn lines, because it's something that we do after work or during work. You know, the vast majority have got day jobs, and then we go and rehearse a show for 2.5 hours, 3 hours on a night as well. So fitting in line learning is just a difficult thing, particularly with plays. Plays are that much harder, because plays are that much more dense in terms of the amount of text that you've got to get through, the amount of lines that you've got to learn. So line bashing is the first thing, but then of course you've got to get the character, and that's something that I find tends to evolve as you're going along. You always have a sense going into it of how you think the character should be played, and then it's kind of like I always envisage it as like it's like a sculpture. If a sculptor starts out with a block of marble, it's a square block or a cube, and it gets chipped away, and it's the rough outline of the character. And then the more you work at it, and hopefully if you get a good director, you work with them, it becomes finer and more refined, and suddenly the detail comes out in sharp relief. And then hopefully you're somewhere near, by the time you get to stage to show week, having a part that is close to what you and the director wants. Again, in the Am Dram world, I'm sure it's the same in the professional world. You get some directors that are better than others. It's that balance between a director that lets you do what you want, and a director that will direct you. You don't want to just be left on stage to go and do whatever you want and deliver this, what you think is a fantastic character, only to find out that you're doing Scouse accent when he's from, I don't know, Wales or something, or Ghana or something. So you want a director that's going to let you interpret the character how you want, but at the same time guiding it in the direction that it needs to fit into the sort of the feel of the overall play. So the best directors are the ones that will work with you on that. So yeah, preparation I think is the key to it, and then listening to what people tell you.
Yeah, that was a really good answer.
Thanks, mate.
Just gonna have to put my glasses on because my eyes are going a bit blurry.
All right, old lad.
Old man Nate, got the cardigan on. With obviously getting roles and stuff, there comes the dreaded audition.
Oh yeah.
Now I hate auditioning. I always get really nervous around stuff. And like I struggle to learn some of the lines. I can learn the songs easily enough, but learning the script is just hell. So, do you have any audition stories from shows past, like best, worst?
Oh, I'm like you. In fairness, I mean, I don't think there's anybody that thinks, "Oh, can't wait for that audition." Brilliant. In fairness, the best audition that I did was with Todd, and it was an audition for Sunshine on Leith, which we never got to do. It got cancelled because of the floods, which was a real shame because it's a show that I really want to do. But the way that they did it was kind of workshop style. So you were sort of on stage with all the other people auditioning for your part, all the people that were auditioning for the leading lady that you'd be playing opposite, and then you got a chance to do your bit with one of the leading ladies, and then you do it with another one, and then there'd be another going for my part audition with the. But it sounds, I suppose it's swings and roundabouts, because for me I found that much easier than a one shot stand in front of the audition panel and that's it. Yeah. Whereas there'll be other people that think the idea of having to do a performance in front of a bunch of other complete strangers and then the audition panel as well would be equally hellish. But I just preferred it on that basis, because you just get a chance to have a couple of goes. If you know something didn't go quite right the first time, you got a chance to go through it the second time. I find auditions very, very difficult, because whilst I would say that I am a competent, if not a good singer, I'm certainly not a comfortable singer. So when you've only got a small amount of time to learn a song, I'm the opposite of you. I find learning dialogue much more easy than I do songs, because I'm not really very musical. So going in and having your one shot to do your song in front of these people you've never had a chance to go through it with this guy who's playing the piano, and is he following you or are you following him or her? And so you often get a lot of Larry the Lamb singing in rehearsals, which some would argue you get from me when I'm on stage in the show week anyway, but it's all the worse in the audition process. So auditions, tough going, but it's the same for everyone, unless you are a trained singer. Yeah. Because singers tend to fare better. If you're a good singer, you tend to fare better in an audition than if you're a good actor. So I feel it's sort of weighted toward people who are good singers, and that's fair enough. I can't think of where I was going with this. Auditions are bad. That's the essence of it.
Because I sort of like the workshop audition styles more. I tend to get anxiety every now and then, so having just me stood in the middle with a panel there, I'm like,
it's just the word, yeah. And the thing is, it's the very, very clear sense that these people are here literally to determine your immediate future in the Am Dram world. They're literally here to judge you on what you're about to do, and it's the knowledge that is the case, and it's just the worst thing to be judged when you're feeling vulnerable and nervous. It's just absolutely horrendous. But tell me this, Nathan Hall. Yeah. When you auditioned for Kips,
yes,
I was reading in.
Yes.
Now, you and I have known each other for a long time. Some would go so far as to say we were friends, Nathan.
Who'd say that?
I know. I obviously shut them up immediately. But do you find it worse having somebody? Was it worse having somebody who was your friend reading in, or did that work to your?
I think it helped really, because obviously when we played Fagan and Dodger, we managed to work out a good on-stage chemistry between us, and I think that really helped with part of Kips, because I sort of base Kips off Dodger. He's Cockney type, he's energetic, he's covering every inch of the stage.
Yeah.
So it was Dodger, but a bit older, a bit fatter, and supposedly a bit more musically talented.
Just thinking of you and me playing Oliver and Dodger, I just remember spitting all over you all through show week, because I'm a spitter when I project. Yeah. I just remember having to get up close and personal with you and gobbing on you all the way through show week.
I just remember the one, because it snowed really badly that week, and you and Lou were sort of stuck in traffic one night.
Yeah.
So we had to.
Yeah, God, that was bad times.
Yeah, so we had to delay the show a little bit. I think about 5-10 minutes while you got to the fit, because you had so much makeup and like wigs, beard. So Rick wasn't in the best mood when he arrived at the theatre.
He was not in the best mood. Yeah, that's safe to say.
I could just hear it. Like, I think it was the interval I came out, and you were still like pissed off, like still angry. It was that time I came to give you the T-shirt.
Yeah.
My mum had a T-shirt done for me and Rick. Basically had the Oliver logo, our character name, but on the back it said "What a douchebag." So
Which
I
was
just
really
had,
honest.
I just sort of went into the dressing room like, there you go.
I've still got that T-shirt. I still love that T-shirt.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I'm a bit too old and fat to fit into it now, but yeah, I still got that T-shirt. But you know, for all that was a stressful show night. It was the Friday night, wasn't it? And although it was stressful as hell, I think that was one of my favourite performances from that week. Is when sort of it just clicks. I really enjoyed that performance.
It hurt when he threw, because top of Act 2 when Dodger runs into the pub to say he's lost Oliver. Like Oliver got caught. Rick was supposed to give me like a little push away, but that night he just went. I just went flying across the stage. But it worked. Apparently, it looked bloody brilliant.
All right, did we keep it in? Did I do it again the next night?
I think we did on the final show, but
right,
we didn't do it on the matinee.
All right. Well, you don't want to scare the old dear, do you?
No. It was a weird show because we had 2 matinees. I think it was.
We did Wednesday, didn't we?
We opened on the Tuesday. Tuesday, Wednesday it was just evenings, but the Thursday we did 2 shows. And
was it the Thursday? Oh, I thought it was the Thursday, yeah.
Sure.
You're probably right.
Then we had the Friday one show, then 2 more shows on the Saturday to close off. And I just remember on the second performance on the Thursday going, I've done this already.
I think it's a thing, isn't it, with actors that when they've been in a show for a long time, they've done same bits of dialogue over and over again, twice a day, 2 times a week or whatever. But you get into this, I can't think what the phenomenon's called, but you sort of, even though you know it mechanically, you start to question yourself because you've done it so many times and you lose sort of sense of who you are, where you live and what your name is, sort of thing. So it's a thing. It's a thing.
Someone asked me around Kip's show, just after Kip's, went, does it get boring being the same show? But for me, it was slightly different every time because I was trying out different comedic bit. Obviously, because I had so many scenes with Sophie, and most of our scenes were comedic. So we were just trying out little jokes. And as the week went along, Sophie was adding stuff as well. And obviously working with Phil as Chitterlow.
Yeah.
That was all.
You know, if he'd have carried on much longer, he'd have been ad-libbing. He'd have rewritten the entire show, wouldn't he?
I'm surprised he didn't have. You know what happened at the matinee performance? All the old biddies were in. And we're doing Top Fact 2. It's Kip's is on his way to like this big musical evening. And Chitlow bumps into him, tries cheering him up, with teeth back in. And one of his lines is, "You know what Mr. Kipling says?" And someone in the audience shouted out, "He makes exceedingly good cakes." So Phil's just stood centre stage like, I'm supposed to be looking miserable. I'm just there like. So
Billy.
Oh.
So there's the scene where I'm sat on a bench with Julie, who's playing my girlfriend, and Ned, one of my girlfriends / fiancés, and Ned was supposed to walk past just eating a bag of chips or something, and then on the last night, and there's got to be an element of Neil Hurst involved here, he just came on with this enormous floppy sausage that sort of bounced, and he just coming out of the corner of your eye, and it's just, and then he just pulled this sausage out, and he's like, boom, boom. And what do you do when somebody hauls out a frigging giant sausage on stage and lets it wobble just in front of you? What are you going to do?
Because I think the line he had as well was giving it regular or something like that. Because it was butting in with your conversation. You're just like. Just see this sausage go.
Yeah. Oh, I tell you what, the worst, most ballsy ad-lib moment that I've ever seen on stage. It wasn't an ad-lib because I know that he planned it, but there was an actor who shall remain nameless when we did Thoroughly Modern Millie with Buttershaw. And he was playing, I don't think he'd be able to get away with it nowadays because it was only 10 years ago or so, but he was playing Chinese character and he was adopting an accent and everything. But at the end of the show, he's supposed to declare his undying love for a character called Miss Dorothy. The line is supposed to be, "I love you, Miss Dorothy," in this broken English in a Chinese accent. But on the last night, when we're all sat on stage, every single member of the cast is on stage, instead of saying, "I love you, Miss Dorothy," he said, "Me love you long time, Miss Dorothy." Well, Now, the actress who was playing Miss Dorothy could easily have murdered him. Murdered him had there not been 600 people in the audience. But the rest of us, we kept straight. We didn't keep straight faces. It was very, very funny. And by some way, the ballsiest move I've ever seen on stage. That guy had some good moves.
Because like when we did Kips, obviously on final night, there's a few certain members of the society who like to slightly change the lines. It's like, for the last time, final time, you'll receive my bill. But one of the other actors, he added a final into the script as well. But it was like in a wrong point and wrong phrase. It's like, because it's when I did the woodworking scene, the first proper scene with Helen. And it's supposed to be my first time woodworking class. And he just went, "So is this your final time?" And you know how stressed I was backstage. Like, 'cause I didn't leave the stage and I had so much to think about. So I just had to go, no, it's my first time. It just sort of took me back. And I just went, when we got to the interval, I just went, "Why did you do that?" It didn't make sense. I appreciate the sentiment, but it didn't work.
Here's another question I want to ask you. It's more an observation, really, but just the frustration, and you'll know this from doing Kips. It's one of the frustrations of the world of amateur theatre, because we rehearse a show for, in some cases, up to 5 months when you start out with your initial singing rehearsals and whatnot, and you rehearse all that time, and then you get your week to do the show, and you get a part like yours, which I know you loved absolutely to bits. But the thing about show week is that until you get in front of an audience and see how the reactions land and where the laughs are and where the pauses are, you just get past opening night nerves and the audience has responded well and it's going well, and then you start relaxing into it, and then by Saturday, just as it's getting about to where you want it to be, you feel as though it's just the best that you're getting it. It's over. It's just you must have felt that if we'd have done that show another week, it'd have been an entirely different show from your perspective.
So if you know
what I mean.
So if you notice throughout the week, like I was saying, I was adding little things, because luckily our director Anton, she just basically let me at it. She trusted me enough to play about with some stuff. So I think by the final, I think the Friday show we did was one of the best. Not compared to Saturday night show, because that was just, like, I was in tears at the end. I was like, it's finally over, I can have a pint. But so it just got to that stage where it's like, mentally I could do this another week and it'd be fine, but physically...
you think about the process. You think about Charlie Stemp having to do it every 8 times a week. I mean, we did it, did we do it 6 times? And then we had a couple of rehearsals.
I was dead after one show.
This is it. So having to do that every night, twice a day, sometimes every week for, they hope they'll get a super long run. I don't know how to do it. I get bored of a show. By the end of the show week, I'm just like, that was good. I'm ready to move on to the next thing.
But like I say, because luckily I was allowed to add little things and try and make... so you were saying with audience reactions, I always look for where we get the laugh and what caused that laugh, as opposed to going, oh, this entire line is funny. What part of that line or action gets the laugh? So it's like, what was one good example in Kips? When my character proposed to Helen, he does like this little ramble. It's like, "Oh no, you're too far well above me," but somehow I felt like I had to say it, and it's supposed to be, "Anyway, I'll go now." But because we were at a slight distance, I just walked up to Sophie. If I was going to do, "Anyway, I'll go now." I tried that on the second night, and it just got a much bigger laugh. So we just kept it in.
Yeah, that's the thing that you learn as you go on, and you just relax into it, and it gets better and better and better, and then it's over.
Yeah.
But that's the Am Dram's life, isn't it? So at the end of the week, we you relieved it was over. Then I always get to the end of the week, and it's like, thank God I made it through. Didn't make too many balls ups. I really enjoyed it. That was brilliant. But I don't know. I know because I know you were gutted at the end of Gibbs, because I know you enjoyed Cat.
Yeah. So in a way I was relieved, because especially after doing 2 shows that day and the whole week leading up, I was just knackered, like physically shattered. My joints were aching. So in a way, yes, I was relieved, but in the same sense, no, because it was actually my first leading man role. So it's why it's so important to me, and why I put so much into it. So when the show week ended, I was like, I just got this right. I did a good job. And but this actually brings us on to the next question perfectly. It's
seamless. Seamless.
So we sort of touched the buzz after a show.
Yes.
How do you deal with it? So going into the bar, talking to friends, the atmosphere is thriving, everyone's loved it. How do you deal with that sort of adrenaline?
Oh man, I find it really difficult. I find that whole thing really difficult, because you've got to go. There's this thing. So you come out of the dressing room area, you've got changed, and you walk into a space where the audience has been. Now, one of two things is going to happen. Someone's going to come up to you and say, or you're going to speak to somebody you know, or you're going to catch the eye of someone you know, and you are then committed to having to speak to them, or they are committed to having to speak to you. And if that's the case, they have to come up to you, and they are always going to tell you that it was either really good or that you were really good, because no one's ever going to tell you to your face that you were rubbish. And I feel really bad that I don't want people to have to commit themselves to saying something to me. So I always I'm weird. I try to avoid eye contact, because I always assume that what I've done is just been shit, to be honest with you. I just work on that basis, because if I don't know, I fear that I'll become complacent, and then the next one will be genuinely dreadful. But I always just assume that it's not being very good. And so I don't want people to come up to me and say, that was brilliant, Rick, because I always just assume that they're going to be lying. Sometimes they'll be genuine. Sometimes they'll be being diplomatic. Sometimes you might have been good, the show might have been bad. Sometimes the show might have been brilliant, you may not have been so good. But I just like to kind of go in, make eye contact with somebody I know that maybe was probably in the show, that doesn't have to bullshit me in any way, shape or form, and just go and have a quiet drink with them. But that seems really churlish. It seems really rude when you've got these people that have paid money to come and see you. So it's a weird thing. It's a weird thing. I love the vibe of show week. I love being in the bar afterwards, but this is a weird relationship that I've got with people that have been to see the show, because I just don't want them to have to lie to me. I love it if people come over and genuinely say, that was brilliant, Rick, and I thought you were fantastic in it. But it just, nobody would ever say, oh, Rick, you know what, that was awful. You were rubbish. So you can never be sure.
You've not met my mother, have you?
No, that's true.
A running joke me and my mum have. She used to work backstage on shows I did, and I'd always go, how was that? She'd always go, you were off key. Okay. It's usually the first thing she says to me after a show. She was waiting out. I don't know, we're at that point where I don't know if it's genuine or she's just having a laugh. But
well, you can never tell.
No, but
so I just find the whole thing weird. You love it though, don't you? Right. So we were talking about the after show from Kips, and you're 2 ways about it, aren't you?
Yeah. So obviously after the show finished every night, everyone wanted to say hi and well done to me. Whereas it was good because I had so many friends come see the show, and I had quite a few different companies who were supposed to be staging Kips this year. They came to see the show because we were
lined you up for a cheeky bit of understudy action just in case their leading man went down.
Oh yeah.
Was that Harrogate?
Yeah, it's down to understudy Harrogate. So I was doing Q&As most nights.
Q&As.
It's literally.
My publicist here.
So yeah, I was just answering questions like, what's the hardest part of the show? What do I need to build up? Every time I just say stamina. Build your stamina because it's a marathon. But yeah, so I essentially had to do the rounds because the amount of people I had in every night. So, but all I wanted to do was say hi to a few people and just sit down and have a pint, really.
Yeah.
It's
This
like
is it. It's a funny
post
thing.
show pint
People
like.
Yeah. People come and support you, and you want to go. You want to thank them and say, "Yeah, listen, thanks for coming, thanks for supporting." Because in the Am Dram world, it's important to get bums on seats anyway, isn't it? So when people come and see you, it's they're taking time out and spending money to come and see you do your hobby. So yeah, you've got to be. I was very grateful to people that come and see you. Yeah, definitely. I feel I should say that as if, because it now sounds as though my comments earlier on might have been a bit ungrateful, dismissive of people come and see. Just to clarify, anybody that might be watching, if you come and see an Am Dram show, we are always very pleased that you come to see us.
Yes. We're grateful for your money.
Yes, yes, indeed we are. Yeah, and your applause, however genuine or not it may be.
Yeah, even if you sat in the front going, it's fine.
Time ago.
Yeah, another encore, great. So yeah, I've just got one last question, really. What advice do you have for anyone trying to get involved with Am Dram? People who are interested, wanting to get into it. What advice do you have?
Do it. Just do it. Just do it. Without question, I will say that joining the world of amateur theatre was the best thing I ever did in my life. Absolutely brilliant. It's just an ace place to go and hang out with some ace people. You get to go on and play these characters and do these daft things and live these weird lives. Or even if you don't want to play the leading roles, or if you don't want to be one of the principals, some people just come along because it's just a chance to go and catch up with a load of really good people. You know, have a good old sing, and the social side of things is just amazing. So my advice would always be, if you're in any doubt, my advice is to just go for it because you won't regret it. I've never spoken to anybody that started into the world of amateur theatre that's thought afterwards, man, a bit rubbish. Even if they haven't carried it on in the future for whatever reason, everybody that I've ever known has just always really enjoyed it. So the only advice, I'm not in a position to give anybody advice from a technical perspective because I'm not a great singer, I'm an average actor, but I'm enthusiastic sometimes. But what I can say is, irrespective of your talent level, just get into it because it's brilliant.
That's some brilliant advice right there. So yeah, thank you for joining me on this week's episode.
It's been a right good chat.
Yeah, I've literally just been trying to do the rounds and get as many people involved.
I'll see saying what I'm down somewhere down the bottom of the list. You've tried everybody else in the that you can get on.
Yeah, where are you?
Nathan giveth and Nathan taketh away. No, mate, this has been nice. It's been a right good chat. It's been a right good day. But never ring me though.
No.